If you're thinking about starting an Etsy shop selling digital products, but you're wondering, do I actually need graphic design experience or can I learn it? This is the video for you. So in this past year, I've made almost $5,000 with my Etsy shop selling digital products. And before this, I had no formal training in graphic design. I mean, I did use Canva for making social media things and for making other things, but I had no formal training and I just learned things as I went along. So if you're answering the question, my answer to you is basically, I don't have a straight answer. So this entire video is going to be about what you should do if you don't have graphic design experience, what should you do if you do have some graphic design experience, and what if you do have formal graphic design experience? That doesn't mean you're automatically going to be successful with your Etsy shop. I'm also going to share things that you should know about graphic design and about designing things before you actually start your Etsy shop. So make sure you stay until the end of the video so you don't miss out. So first, if you have no graphic design experience at all, if you literally haven't used Canva or Photoshop or Illustrator or any kind of graphic design software before, I would actually ask you why you want to start an Etsy shop in the first place. Like, I think a lot of people think that starting an Etsy shop is an easy way to build passive income. So then the question isn't even about if you have graphic design experience or not. The question is about why you want to start an Etsy shop in the first place and why you think that you can be successful at an Etsy shop. I'm not saying you can't be successful if you don't have any graphic design experience. It's gonna take time for you to learn. You can definitely be successful, but I also think you should consider other things as well. If you don't have graphic design experience, what skills do you have? Can you monetize those skills instead? I do have a way more in-depth video about the alternatives to starting an Etsy shop, so I would definitely watch that one after you watch this one. At the end of the day, it's up to you to decide if you want to build an Etsy shop or not. And if you really want to do this, then go ahead. Like, I think you should try it out and see. You will never know unless you try. So I would definitely encourage you, if you really want to try this out, then do it. Do it for 2 to 3 months and see how you feel. Now, if you have some or a little bit of graphic design experience, here are the things I want you to know before you start your Etsy shop. At the beginning, I would say it's gonna take you a really long time to design products and to make listing photos. So this is what happened to me. Like, I was using Canva for years, designing just simple things like social media posts, making info PDFs to promote my calligraphy business, things like that, posters for my calligraphy workshops, thumbnails for my YouTube channel. And so I was a user of Canva, but I wouldn't say I was like a graphic designer, like a graphic designer. Like, I knew how to put elements together to create the thing that I wanted. But for me, when I was making my first product, it was something completely different that I had, like, I knew the niche, but I had never designed anything like that. And it was multiple pages and with listing photos as well. Like, it took me so freaking long to make listing photos, probably like 10 hours to make my first set of listing photos. It took forever. So it's gonna take a lot of time. And even though it's going to take you a lot of time, that doesn't mean you're going to do some good designs. When I look back at the first listing photos that I made and the first products that I made, they all look like crap. Like, 1 year later, I can make products that are so much better. So give yourself some slack. It is going to take a lot of time. And in the end, after all of this time designing, your products might just be so-so or average. And that's okay. You're going to keep designing, you're going to keep improving, and your products and your listing photos will get better. By the way, if you're feeling really lost with designing and especially with listing photos, I do have a listing photos course that is on pre-sale right now. And the part that I think you'll really find valuable is that I'm gonna have 50 pages of Canva templates that you can use to build your own listing photos. So I have all the details on this website here, and I'll put the link in the video description and you can check it out. Graphic design isn't everything. You need a good niche, okay? So even if you are somewhat okay at graphic design, it's way easier if in the niche that you're in, there is high demand, low competition, and you know what? Even if you design a so-so product, but it's a good niche that like people are really looking for this kind of product, you will get away with just an average product because there's nothing else that people can buy. Oh, and by the way, if you are still deciding on your niche, I have this free Start Your Etsy checklist that you can use. It's multiple pages that has some guidelines on how you can do research, how you can figure out what your niche is. So you can download this. It's free. Once you finish your first product, I would definitely recommend sending it to a friend and just getting some feedback on it. I did this when I first started my Etsy shop, and it was so useful just getting another pair of eyes on my product, because a lot of the times when we make a product, or let's say, you know, when you're writing an essay, when you're working on some project and you've been looking at it for hours and hours and hours, you're gonna miss some stuff, or you're not gonna be able to see the wider picture. That's why writers have editors, they have proofreaders, and that's why for you, when you design your first couple of products, it is really helpful for you to get another person's feedback, just get some new fresh eyes to look at it. If you're wondering, should you hire somebody to do the graphic design for you if you suck at graphic design? I would say it really depends. I think obviously you can just outsource the entire thing. If you have great ideas, you know the niche, but you either don't have time or you don't want to spend the energy to do all the designing, you can hire it out. And I do have a guide on how to hire freelancers and contractors, so check that one out if you are interested in hiring. But I would say for me, the fun part was designing things and creating things from scratch. So at the beginning, I made everything myself, even though it took a really, really long time. And earlier this year, I actually hired a Canva designer assistant to help me with my listing photos and also coming up with new designs for new products. But I think what my gut wants to share with you is, with an Etsy shop, the designs are really important. The products are really important. And for me, as an Etsy shop owner, I would want to have the majority say or the majority control over what things look like. So I would want to make things myself. And if I do hire somebody, because I've made things myself, it's so much easier to give direction on how to do things. This is the style that I'm going for. So you can either just do it yourself, you can do a combination like I'm doing right now. You can do some of the design, but also get some help if you need it. But yeah, you can obviously outsource everything if you want. And that could save you some time, but then you have to pay money. So it's a trade-off. Do you want to spend more time or do you want to spend money? There's no right answer when it comes to business. If you feel like you have imposter syndrome with graphic design, I just want to remind you that you can always learn on the go. Actually, the best learning when it comes to running a business is actually just doing the thing and learning as you go. There's really no preparation you can do. There's only so much you can do. Yes, you can take a course on graphic design, but if you're starting an Etsy shop, the stuff you're designing is probably going to be completely different from whatever course you're taking on graphic design. It might be useful just to know the basics of graphic design. Like obviously you need spacing, you need white space, there's alignment things. But for me, what I found in 5 years of running my multiple different kinds of creative businesses is I would just learn everything as I created everything. Basically, I heard this quote, it's like entrepreneurship it's like you're flying a plane while building the plane. Yeah, I love that. Like, it just makes so much sense, and that's actually how it is. Okay, what about if you did get formal graphic design experience or training? What does this mean for you if you're trying to start an Etsy shop? I would say you have to be a little bit careful that you don't just make things pretty, but not usable for the customer. Like, you could make the most aesthetic thing in the world, but if it's not what the customer is looking for, if it's not actually useful and practical, it's not going to be good. So I would say practical is first. Like, it has to be usable. It has to satisfy the need of the customer. And then the aesthetic part is very, very important, but it's secondary to the practicality or the usability of the product. With digital products on Etsy, there are a lot of products where you need to do the actual graphic design yourself, but I want to remind you that there are also a lot of products out there that you can make that don't require graphic design. For example, budget templates, finance trackers, calendars, those are all on Google Sheets. So you don't necessarily have to make products. If you're trying to sell digital products, you don't necessarily have to use your graphic design skills to make the actual product, but you still need to make listing photos. And as you're watching this video, you might think, oh shoot, you know, Dina has some great points and I'm actually not sure if I want to start an Etsy shop. Well, I have good news for you because I actually have made this video on the alternatives to selling on Etsy. So check it out.